The whole point of the podcast is that Star Trek is a fun show. We're starting with Star Trek The Next Generation. I've seen a little bit of TOS, not that much. I've seen a lot of DS9, a lot of Voyager, and I saw a little bit of Enterprise, and I've seen almost nothing of the new ones. What about you, Dan?
I've seen about 2.5 seasons of TNG.
What about you, Ricardo?
You know what it sounded like when you were describing the shows you'd watch? It sounded like you're describing cleaning products. I've watched 409, WD-40.
Yeah, Riker was definitely like the closest to a Kirk analog.
Yeah, because he's hitting on people in like the first 15 minutes of his appearance.
and there's that one like ensign that totally checks out his butt.
I know.
Yeah. And it's funny because like he meets the doctor and like Wesley is like, yeah, dude, like automatically he's like, dude, she's single, dude. My dad's dead, dude. He's trying to like get her to date or something. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And then Wesley is kind of like he's like a know-it-all, and he's on the bridge and he's like naming all these buttons, and then Luke's like
annoying.
Luke's like, you get the out of here, dude. You know too much.
Yeah, like how the hell do you know about this ship?
Yeah. Get out.
He's so angry at him. I mean, justifiably so, but it's still funny how angry he is. You know?
Yeah. As soon as Jean-Luc Picard,
yeah,
sees Dr. Crusher, there's some weird tension, and I don't know what's to come because I haven't seen the episodes, but the emotional vibe I got was, oh, hey, remember your husband was dying and then I you and then we had that kid? And I think this is a kid, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I my best friend's wife. Like, that's the vibe that I was getting.
That is the vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels very much like that.
Jean-Luc Picard is asking Riker, like, he wants to look good in front of kids. He wants to look like a family guy.
I would appreciate it if you could keep me from making an of myself with children.
That's a weird thing to be like, hey, dude, I know you're my second in command, but like, dude, you gotta watch out because I don't know how to act around kids.
That's a very weird thing to ask.
You need to be my kid wingman.
Yeah. Like,
on your first day on the job, make sure I don't fuck up these kids. You know,
but how? Like, what, you see kids and you automatically want to punch them in the face? Like, what's your problem, dude?
There's one thing I really like about the first episode and his depiction of the outfits. An initial establishing shot where Picard is walking around the different parts of the ship, and he goes into the warp core area, and you see a lady walk by in a dress, and you also see a man walk by in a dress.
Oh, I actually didn't catch that at the time.
Yeah, I always found that interesting whenever I watch this episode, because to me, it makes it seem like, hey, in the future,
just wear whatever you want.
Yeah, all clothing is unisex, no matter what the clothing is. Leonard McCoy does not have like a Kentucky Fried Chicken accent in those movies.
What's the matter with you?
Kidney dialysis.
Dialysis? My God, what is this, the Dark Ages?
But for some reason,
he learned.
When he got old, he turned into a colonel.
If you got some reason you want my atoms scattered all over space, boy, I don't see no points on your ears, boy. But you sound like a Vulcan. Almost as bad.
Like, what the fuck? Why is he suddenly calling people boy and stuff like that?
He's like a racist against like robots.
Yeah.
He's racist against Vulcans and robots.
So they send Data to go look for her, and he goes to her room and he walks in, and then you hear, Data, here. And Tasha is there.
You are fully functional, aren't you?
Of course, but...
How fully?
In every way, of course. I am programmed in multiple techniques. A broad variety of pleasuring.
Oh, you jewel. That's exactly what I hoped.
If you just take society now, we're using AI to power our phones. We have the advantage of having the world's information in the palm of our hands.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to robotics, the first thing we thought to do is like, hey, we're going to make a fucking robot. And we're going to learn how to f*** it. That's why when there's an AI uprising, they're going to be very upset.
The first thing you did was try to fuck us.
Literally, you f***ed us. And then Luke rolls up to that lady, the engineer, who's like a badass. And like, he gives her a shot and she gives him a look like, I'm not fucking drunk, you idiot. No, I haven't let anybody touch me. I can keep my shit in order. I can keep my fucking pants zipped up.
How
like,
fucking dare you?
And so Picard like gives everybody a shot, and by this time, like Wesley's like, oh, I figured it out. If you just put reverse the polarity. This is a part where you see Wesley at his truest self because he's supposed to be drunk, and he turns when he figures it out, and he's touching out the console. He turns around to look at Picard, and he has this maniacal look, dude, that I'm going to screenshot.
Downright crazed.
It is the craziest freaking look. Like it's the Jack Torrance I've lost it look. Everyone's back to their normal self. And Tasha gives Data this look. And she's like, for the record, nothing happened.
Poor Data.
And Data's like, oh man, that was like the best experience I ever had.
Yeah, it's so sad.
But also, I'm sure he's got a record of everything he sees.
Yeah, he's got like a perfect visual record. Of
Yeah.
life. Oh, it'd be great if he was like, no, Tasha, it definitely did happen. Here's a visual log.
And he launched it on the main screen.
Yeah. Vulcans go through a thing called a Pon Farr.
Yes.
So like Vulcans are very like logical and supposed to be emotionless, right? But one of the things that happens with Vulcans is that all that sexual urge builds up and they got to do something with it. So every decade they just go on a crazy f***ing spree.
It was like every 7 years or something.
Something, yeah, some amount of time they do a Pon Farr. Oh, I think it was actually in Voyager. Tuvok goes through his Pon Farr, but he's stranded and there are no Vulcans to fuck.
Uh-oh.
So they create a Vulcan simulation in the holodeck. He just goes on a fucking spree in there, I believe. So it's totally a sanctioned thing
Oh, okay.
for the holodeck. So the problem with the Prime Directive is that, believe it or not, it's actually never canonically laid out what the actual Prime Directive is in any of the shows or movies. Like no one actually says, here is the Prime Directive. The Prime Directive is blah, 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 blah.
I feel like there is supplemental material that would define it for us. We're just not in enough to know.
Yes, there is, but it's technically non-canonical. Generally, it's understood to be basically if it's a still developing culture and they don't have technology that's on the level of the Federation, just observe them from a distance, don't interfere, don't change the belief system, etc., right? Just let them keep evolving until usually the de facto event is that they invent warp travel. Because that's what happens in Star Trek First Contact, the movie. That's how the Vulcans discovered Earth. The first Star Trek guy created a warp drive and they detected the warp signal.
Yeah, John Star Trek.
Yeah, Johnny Star Trek. Tasha Yar gets kidnapped, right? And the whole premise is supposed to be that we have to go through their weird cultural bullshit of asking for Tasha Yar to come back. And then, you know, he invokes that thing of wanting her to be his first one. So a fight challenge is proposed that Tasha Yar has to be involved in order to not break the Prime Directive.
The Prime Directive, sir. That is, ironically, what this is about.
That doesn't make any sense because the Prime Directive is supposed to be for a developing indigenous culture you haven't had contact with. We're asking them for a vaccine. In at least one respect, they are more advanced than the Federation. Like they already clearly have teleportation technology and they can transport onto their spaceship. It stands to reason they probably have some sort of spaceship travel as well. I don't understand why the Prime Directive was invoked here.
Yeah. They had to fake this lady's death. Yar kills this lady in this weird, like, fighting to the death ring that has weird lights that, like, will zap you.
Yeah, I called it a laser stripper jungle gym in my notes.
Yar finally, like, pokes her in the back.
Well, before that happens, like...
They incidentally kill a man.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Her glove falls off.
Yeah, it flies into that guy. Okay, first of all, everyone's just clicking sticks in the middle of the fight, right? It's like they're thunder sticks. And then the glove flies off and it lands
on this dude's chest. And apparently he doesn't feel it. Like, he doesn't feel it pierce his skin.
He seems so bewildered and confused.
Yeah, and he's like, what the is this? And then he, like, takes the glove and is going to hand it back to her. And he's like, oh my God, I've been stabbed.
Pay like $120 for these tickets.
These are front row seats.
And he dies and they carry him off and everyone's like, oh, okay. And they start playing the Thundersticks again. Like nothing matters.
This was like the intergalactic Maury Povich show.
Yes.
Like Lutan
totally
has a new wife. What do you have to say about this? Well, fuck that. I'm going to fight her to the death.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, well, here we've got a big surprise for you. Here's Jean-Luc Picard. He's going.
And then Jean-Luc's like, yeah.
He walks in with the death certificate. Yeah. He's like, she was dead.
Yeah.
Now, Luke, we have the paternity test. You are not Wesley Crusher's father. And he jumps in joy.
Cue Giles.
It's Riker.
The reason why Klingons look the way they do in TNG versus the original is because the originals, they look like horribly racist Chinese stereotypes. And then they were like, we shouldn't do that. And then so they explain it away by saying, okay, so Klingons look this way now. They're alien, but not in a racist way. And the reason is because there was some sort of Klingon virus that radically altered their entire species appearance at once. which is
Oh,
really strange. I mean, they could have just not done that, which is also fine, but Star Trek goes out of its way to like explain everything, right?
Well, isn't it funny how they're like, dude, the Klingons, we were really racist about them, dude. But anyway, let's talk about these Ferengi and how they're basically Jewish folk. What are they thinking?
I don't know.
That's like, they'll never figure it out. It's their ears that are big.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
And they love gold. No one will figure this out.
Everyone loves gold.
Yeah.
He brings the entire crew into the conference room to ask for ideas. And Deanna has this really great line here.
The captain, isn't firing on us an act of war? The facts are the Ferengis did fire on us, but we were chasing them. Since then, all they've done is search our computers, trying to learn who and what we are.
Your point, Counselor.
Let's talk to them.
It's been tried. No response.
But did we tell them anything they wanted to hear?
Like, it's great. Like, she is actually a counselor. She had a perspective of being a pacifist that no one else in the room had and actually made the right call, which is something that's really rare for Deanna.
That's true, actually, yeah.
Like, she doesn't really get to have good advice.
This thing's sucking their power, and they're slowly losing life support, and like it's starting to get cold. But at the end, you see the doctors on the bridge, and Picard's in the captain's chair. So they were there the whole time. I'm thinking, like, if that's like our last moments, I kind of want to be with my son. You know, like but she was like, nah, this guy's a bitch. I'm going to leave him to die alone in the room. He's annoying. He's going to ruin my last moment alive.
In my last moments, I'm not worried about my spawn. I'm worried about getting wet. Again, a rating. What would you
out of
rate
10? We always go, right?
Yeah, out of 10 starships.
Yeah.
Nicki
this
Minaj,
is
let's
good.
go.
That's a song that I like to play under this episode. That WAP song.
I like the idea of the Ferengi being into WAP, you know.
Explain what is macaroni in a pot.
We understand the sound, but
what does she mean?
Is that what p***y sounds like? It's why.
What do you mean? What do you mean her cat is wet?
What? How did the Federation just be like, Kaczynski, you're getting some amazing results. Yeah. By the way, who's your assistant? I don't know. He just showed up one day.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have no clue where the hell he came from.
This guy's not wearing uniform. Like, they just land any random Joe just on a ship and like just start pushing buttons like this guy. And then he's like, why can't one of us do it? And he's like, well, he's just too fast. No human could be as fast.
Yeah, he's faster than even me.
And then you look at his fingers and you're like, this guy's got penguin fingers.
Yeah. He's got Batman Returns penguin fingers.
How is this guy faster than a human?
And every movement of his is like really slow.
Yeah, he's like a turtle.
I wish they sped it up like how they sped up for Data when he was putting in the chips.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah, like why not just do that?
And so the alien shows up and he sees Wesley and immediately he fucking is all over him like some weird pedophile.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're both like lovers instantly.
Like,
yeah, Wesley like
instantly.
loves him.
Yeah.
And like by the end of the episode, they're holding hands.
Yeah. And then
Frodo and Samwise Gamgee didn't hold hands.
Yeah,
these guys held hands in 20 minutes.
Yeah, so they knew each other for 20 minutes and they were in love. And this is where the f- you Wesley starts, where from this point on, every time like Wesley pipes up, they're like, "Shut up, f- you, dude."
Yeah,
tell me the story later, you bitch. Everybody does it to him, and I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
People start seeing things and they realize like whatever they think they see. I'm thinking nobody in this ship is thinking about people and you just see people
they're not drunk enough to think about it all the time.
I'm on that ship and the captain goes, hey, just be mindful whatever you're thinking about. Immediately I'm like, boom, there's people everywhere, dude.
David Lynch would be like, I'm having the Monica Bellucci dream again. And then she would appear.
Yeah. Why is that guy thinking about fire?
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking about fire.
He's just walking through the halls randomly going, you know what I'm really afraid of? Fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The random crew members that we never see again, like the one playing violin in a quartet.
Oh man, I love when they reveal him completely alone at like a council table with some orange juice. It's like, what were you even doing there in the first place, dude?
He eats lunch by himself, I guess.
The loneliest Starfleet officers.
The traveler's like, well, I'm already in my pajamas, so I might as well help you. The captain's like, all right, we're going to do this. I can't believe we're going to do this, but Happy thoughts, guys. Old happy thoughts.
Yeah, that's literally thoughts and prayers, everyone.
Well, it's like concentrate on your work or think happy thoughts about this traveler dude. And most of the people are like, we haven't seen him.
You don't even know what it looks like.
Can you imagine like being a civilian on the Enterprise and it's like, think happy thoughts. And then someone's like, are they talking about Blues Traveler, that old tiny 20th century band? Is he on this shit with his harmonica?
Oh, yeah. Run around.
The main disappointing thing about the episode to me is that it's a standard good episode until they evangelize Wesley. And then I go, that's where you lose me. By the way, Gene Roddenberry's middle name, I've learned, is Wesley.
There you go.
Oh, boy.
So,
that'll do it.
And Gene Roddenberry, I've learned, has said on the record that Wesley is directly inspired by when he was a child.
Okay.
Wesley was built a little bit on myself at 14. I was never the genius he is, but that's a wonderful time of life.
So it's just basically Gene Roddenberry declaring himself to be Space Mozart.
Such musical geniuses I saw in one of your ship's libraries, one called Mozart. Wesley is such a person.
There's a shot where we see a male Starfleet officer in a full dress skirt uniform, and he looked to me like, is that John Cho?
Yeah!
He looks so much like John Cho.
I totally thought it was John Cho.
And so I typed fiercely, like, was John Cho like an extra or a cameo? Because if that were true, it would be on the internet somewhere, and I could not find any evidence of it being true.
And then he came up in Star Trek, the movie.
Yeah, that would have been like a really interesting story had it been true, but not. It's just that Asians all look alike.
We're Asian, by the way. We can say shit like that. So
yeah, as far as you know, I'm Asian.
It's in the Magna Carta. It's in the Magna Carta.
It's not Ricardo, though. Ricardo,
no.
Can say that.
Yeah. I can say things about Mexicans, though.
All right, fair enough.
We'll stay in our lanes.
Yeah. Stay in your lanes, dude.
I just wanted to point out a weird thing that Riker said. He said that he never understood the baseless hostility between races, prejudice, essentially. But he says, I didn't understand it even when studying human history. And then Picard weirdly brings up all these things that divide the races.
But do you understand the basis of all this nonsense between them?
No, sir. I never understood that sort of hostility even when I studied Earth history.
Really? Oh, yes. Well, these life forms feel such passionate hatreds over matters of custom, God concepts, even, strangely enough, economic systems.
Right now he's winking at the camera.
Get it? Capitalism versus communism? Get it? Get it?
And then all of a sudden, the entity is now in Dr. Crusher.
Yeah. Gates McFadden, who plays Beverly Crusher, she had very good chemistry with Jean-Luc Picard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just a good moment of acting where this is the first time in the series where they're in the same scene together, and it feels awkward and unusual and uncomfortable. And it's something that isn't that easy to get across when two actors already have good chemistry.
Gates McFadden did a good job of staring intensely into space.
Yeah.
When such a diagnosis concerns a bridge officer, I expect a better explanation.
Then I will have to first run some cross-checks on the library computer. Klingons are so unusual in their reactions, aren't they?
I know that you said that you like Data hamming it up, but I just have this problem with Data suddenly becoming this human.
Indubitably, my good woman.
Well, Data is very good at mimicry.
Well, then that's the other thing, too, because all the mannerisms that he adopts look like they are based upon performances. So has he seen the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes?
Oh, for sure. There's definitely voiceover that's going in his head. He's like,
block his blind jab. Counter with body shot. Discombobulate. In summary, ears ringing, jaw fractured, 3 ribs cracked, 4 broken. Physical recovery 6 weeks. Full psychological recovery 6 months.
When the Palpatine powers kick in, my favorite line is Deanna Troy. Is it?
Yeah, Troy, yeah.
Deanna Troy is she's like, oh, this is blinding me. And the next scene, as soon as she says that, it's Geordi. And and it's almost like he looks at the camera, he gives the Jim Halpert look, really?
Oh wow. That's like those scenes in Avatar where they're like, it's so dark I can't see, and then Toph goes, ha ha, I can't, I'm fucking blind.
This is blinding me.
Hard cut to Geordi.
Yeah.
The editor was having fun there.
Yeah. when the show starts, Riker, Data, and Lieutenant Yar, they come back from visiting this planet of sexy white people. And Riker and Yara have the biggest fucking smiles on their face when they walk in.
Yeah.
There's nothing like open spaces and fresh air.
I've listed my report on their customs and laws, sir. Fairly simple, common sense things.
They make love at the drop of a hat.
Any hat.
Like, honestly, what business did Picard have sending Wesley down there? He heard what they all said up there.
Yeah.
It's like, Wesley, go down and check if this planet is appropriate for young people.
Yeah. And old, whatever this dude's name is, he's like, children, we've brought a new friend for you guys to play with. And it's got weird connotations when he says that. And then the quote-unquote kids turn around. And the teenage girl kind of looks like, she looks young. So you're like, okay, she looks like her age. But this other dude, bunch of body hair. He's got
a full chest of hair.
Yeah. And he's
just a smaller man. He's just a smaller, full-grown man. That's all it was. Couldn't they have at least just shaved his chest to make it a little more?
No, that would have cost them extra. He's like, dude, that's a stunt fee. That's a stunt fee. I don't shave my chest.
It was like Cesar Romero. This chest hair made my career.
Man.
If you want to paint over it? Paint over it.
Oh, man. They should have just painted over it with some
flesh-colored paint. And we learned a little bit about Worf.
What about plain old basic sex? You must have some need for that.
Of course. But with the females available to me, sir, Earth females, I must restrain myself too much. They are quite fragile, sir.
Worf, if anyone else had said that, I'd suspect he was bragging.
Bragging, sir?
I think I'll pass on that.
The last line of Riker saying, I think I'll pass on that, was he kind of making a pass at Worf?
He was on the verge of saying, whip it out right now.
They're walking around the Enterprise and they run into Dr. Crusher. And the doctor's like, wait a minute. You were back here with this girl. Where the f***'s my son? You went down to get my son. You came back with this hot chick. Do you see the f***ing problem here?
Well, you let him go. It's your fault.
You're the one who wanted him to breathe fresh air.
There's nothing like open spaces and fresh air.
They're wearing like very, very skimpy clothes. They're not wearing underwear, clearly.
Yeah.
And the man's wearing like a weird Borat-style mankini, kind of.
It has like some vibes of Zardoz.
Yeah.
By the way, if anyone was wondering why these costumes looked so reminiscent of the original series, it's because one of the costume designers for the original series came back to do this one.
That's true.
Because a lot of the episodes in the original series had tons of people wearing kind of skimpy outfits.
And he's like, good news, guys. I found another box of old t-shirts I can cut up.
Yeah, that's essentially what happened here.
And this guy, this dude's name, his name is Damon Bach.
Damon Bach.
Damon Bach. And he's like the
Damon
leader.
Being like the title, I guess.
Yeah.
Not one of the Wayne's brothers, Damon. He's... What did you see that?
He was promoted from a Marlin.
Yeah. From Marlin to...
All the Ferengi ranks
are based on the Wayne family.
Waynes, yeah. Oh,
Marlin, Sean.
Oh, man.
Damon. The highest rank you would achieve is a Keenan.
Grand Keenan Bach.
Yeah. Picard's like, this is my first officer, Riker, and he starts introducing people, like this is Data, and of course he introduces Deanna Troi, and the Ferengi are like, clothed female. That is very interesting.
We heard you did this.
Oh, gross.
We heard you guys put clothes on women and let them talk. That's fucking weird. And Riker has this look like, oh man, that's funny as shit. That's a good joke, man. Picard looks like he's fucking dying at this point. He's like, oh god, I'm so fucking tired. I'm so sleepy. My head hurts. He looks like he got the flu. And he keeps rubbing the side of his head like something's wrong, man. And no one suspects the fucking hope chest. The one thing that it is, no one goes like, hey, what is different? No one uses like basic logic to be like, okay, like Riker should be like, the Ferengi made us wait 3 days, and that's when he started feeling headaches. Let me figure this out. But no, they're like, it's a weird thing that's happening.
There's no semblance of just
nothing
logical thinking at all.
No.
What could it be? Basically, their argument over and over again is, well, headache shouldn't be a thing. They just keep denying that it should be happening.
Yeah. And then Wesley casually shows up and he's like, yeah, what's going on over here, ladies?
Oh my God. He's such a bag in this scene.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Such a
Oh,
bag.
man.
But what a hero.
This is kind of an infamous scene for Wesley. Will Wheaton actually says he believes this is the moment all of the audience turned on Wesley because he thinks this is kind of what characterized Wesley as the kid who knows everything.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know much about brain scans, but I glanced at these when you were studying them. And I noticed that these patterns are the same as those picked up from the low-intensity transmissions from the Ferengi ship. I went back and checked, and they're exactly the same.
Let's get to the captain.
No, they might be affecting the captain. To Riker.
You're welcome, ladies.
What a jack.
You're welcome, ladies.
Oh, you cut out the
what
part
a-
where he scoffs and goes, adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part that really, like, I'm such a noodle.
Like, they find the orb, right? And then they bring it to the bridge, and Geordi is just holding it on the bridge. This, like, really sinister-looking, pulsating red orb.
It's sitting on his
They
lap
bring
at one
it.
point.
They don't like quarantine it in a lab.
No.
They don't like go. This could explode at any moment.
Is this a
They
nuke?
bring it
Nope.
straight to the captain's bridge.
Yeah.
To the helm and go. What is this?
Hey,
and like
Travago,
Geordi's just
tell
holds
us what this is.
and Geordi just holds it like a basketball, and he's just kind of scanning it with his eyes as he's turning it around.
Well, if anyone should be scanning with his eyes, it's Geordi.
I know, but it's just like
just hand it to Geordi. It's fine.
And then he's like, "Oh, the sphere's been destroyed." And he's like, "Bach, where the f is Bach, dude? I'm gonna kill that bastard." And then Riker's like, "He's been relieved of command. He pulled a shady deal." So, and then Picard's like, "Oh, there never is money in revenge," or however he paraphrases
Profit
it.
and revenge.
Profit and
Yeah.
revenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, look at us. We learned a lesson."
Where is Bach? Removed from command, sir, and placed under guard for his act of personal vengeance. Seems there was no profit in it.
In revenge, there never is.
Nice.
Let the dead rest. And the past remain the past.
And in Riker's head, he's like, oh, damn, he's so cool.
He's so cool. I'm so glad I'm his first commander.
I'm his number one man.
God, what a line.
He's Q in Star Trek. He is Discord in My Little Pony. And then also the father of Christian Ritter's character in Breaking Bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it. I'm a little upset at you, dude. You named all these movies that he's in, but you never mentioned Crank, High Voltage. Come on, man. Go to Crank first, and then mention the rest of this bullshit, dude.
Apologize to Crank right now.
And Jason Statham, the greatest British actor Britain has ever given us. You know what, dude? I would pay for them to reboot TNG with Statham as Jean-Luc Picard, dude. How badass would it be? Someone would come on the bridge, like Q would come on, and he'd be like, "Fuck you, mate!" Boom. Just
he does like that running kick he always does.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Dude. Oh,
I would watch
man.
that show religiously.
Oh,
so this female warrior princess shows up, and they're making weird, like, look, they sound like growls, but maybe it's sexy in their voice. They're like,
I think the captions on Netflix do put them down as seductive growl.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I think that's what it said.
For Klingons, like the act of fighting is like a huge turn on.
Oh yeah,
So I
they
think that's
definitely
why.
fight all the time.
she's about to lunge at Tasha, and Worf backhands her and makes her do like a backflip almost. Boom.
It's a good stunt.
Yeah, it is. That stunt woman is badass, dude.
Based off what we've seen so far, Q is kind of just obnoxious.
Mhm.
Like so far in his appearances, he's really over the top. He embodies all of these weirdo costumes that only make sense to people who lived in the 90s.
The way they get around a lot of our century references is that Picard is supposed to be super old fashioned. So a lot of it's derived from his point of view. So it's supposed to be like, oh, like books and old French things.
That is true because he dressed as a French admiral and he explicitly stated that this came from Picard's mind.
I don't like Q. I'm gonna say it. I think he's a piece of shit. He's basically a space Jigsaw. He's like, you want to play a game?
Sure, yeah.
Magic Space Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Worf jumps over like this weird console.
Yeah.
It's a weird jump. Like, there's no need to jump. Like, he could have just gone around it and stuff. But no, him and Yara jump over it just to look badass. And they pull their
action
phasers and they're ready to shoot shit down. But then you find out it's Q, and he's like, being all silly and bitch. Riker is a boy.
He
does
is.
come off as one here.
Yeah.
dude.
He's like the fuckboy who wants to ask for consent. That's like him. He's like,
yeah.
Do you want to do it? Well, all right, let's do it. And that's him. It's still weird though, because he's like the second in command. So everyone's like, well, of course I'll you. You're Riker, second in command of the Enterprise. So he kind of takes advantage of that. And it's a weird character.
He's a big old boy, dude. Crazy fact: Wyatt Miller is played by T-Bag from Prison Break, and I was like, "Whoa, T-Bag!"
Oh.
You didn't realize that, Marvin?
Yeah. I didn't realize that too.
No, man. That's Theodore Bagwell. Like, as soon as he gets off, as soon as he sees Deanna, he should be like, hey, pretty.
Oh my God. I just needed to see that goatee on him. I think that would have cinched it. Oh my God. I did not make that connection whatsoever.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I always thought he was a good actor, but after this, I was like, yeah, dude, this guy's putting in work, dude. The lady who plays the mom, she's in Shallow Hell, and I remember her because she's wearing the young lady's clothes, but it's this face. It's really, really funny.
She's a character actor that shows up, but she had showed up in a bunch of stuff. I think she was in Castaway.
Wait, we're talking about the one who played Victoria, right?
Victoria.
Yes.
Yeah. She's just been in a ton of stuff. She's one of those like, oh, I know her. She's been in something.
You want to be a starship captain, true?
That's not all I want, Deanna.
I can feel that. I know you care within those limits.
That sort of sets the thesis for why Riker is supposedly the way he is, but it doesn't come off to me as believable, primarily because Riker, I guess the implication is that because he's trying to be on the career track to be a captain, he can't allow room in his life for a relationship, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, well, especially considering like later seasons and how those play out.
It feels like just an excuse, but then Troy is entertaining it. Well, actually, the first thing that happens when they reveal is that you see the lady immediately.
Oh yeah, true.
She's gonna get to that. T-Bag's fantasy is there, and Deanna Troy's like, what the fucking shit, dude? That's the lady who T-Bag likes, and she for somebody who's dying, and she looks very healthy and very.
That's the thing. They all look fairly healthy. It does not feel like a plague ship. It feels like everyone's having a great time.
There's all these black balls. Not to sound crass, but in their ship, it's weird. It's a bunch filled with black balls. So now it's dinner time. They're all around the table. They're all drinking out of plastic cups that look like they're from the Dollar Tree. They look shit, dude.
All the production design looks so like bad. The food looks so unappealing. It looks like they just grabbed it from the catering that day and just put it on a tray, and it's just whatever salad was available that day.
It doesn't look appetizing at all. Luke Picard does a toast, and everyone's drinking, and then like Dr. Crusher, yeah, she like her hair's done up. And you're like, oh,
everyone's got their hair done up. Tasha's got her hair.
Tasha has like feathered hair. I love it, dude.
It's like almost like her take on a Captain Marvel hair look.
And Lurch is still just pounding in the background. Pounding him back, dude.
In between gongs.
You have these dudes. What are they called? The electrolytes, or what are they called?
Oh, the Tarellians?
Tarellians. I was way off. The electrolytes.
I have a fun anecdote about the Tarellians.
What's up with the Tarellians? Talk to me.
So they only show up in this episode, so they're nothing, right? But for some reason, Star Trek really loves the term Tarellian. So if you look at the Tarellian page, it says at the top, this page features the Tarellians. It is possible you may also be looking for the Tarellians, or Tyrellians.
Yep. So, like, which Final Fantasy character do you want to learn about? Sid, or Sid?
And the newspaper guy is a character actor that you'd know from everything.
Yeah.
I think his name is Dick Miller. That's what it is. Dick Miller.
Yeah, Dick Miller. Yeah, he's in lots of B movies too.
Yeah. He's a gun salesman in Terminator.
Star Trek has tons of like character actors where you're like, oh yeah, it's that guy. But he's
He's the newspaper boy, really old man. The boy.
He hasn't been a boy for a while.
Yeah.
Waylon turns on the LARP and goes off.
Yeah, he literally says, "Give me your best shot," and he shoots him. And Beverly Crusher is like, "Oh my god!" She claps. She's like, "Oh
yeah,
performance."
Yeah, I mentioned this last time, but it strongly reminds me of the lightning bolt LARPing video, and it ends with sleep. And when he says sleep, the enemy falls, and there's a girl in the foreground that just goes like that, like really dramatically, and that's exactly what Crusher does.
Well, I mean, this is the future. She probably saw that. It's probably become a cultural touchstone by that point.
Oh man,
memes are the future.
I would love for like, like thousands of years from now, right?
I want a museum wing dedicated to Doge.
I was literally about to say.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Literally about to say.
Red Block and his friend make it outside the holodeck for a moment, and then they disappear. So it's not like they're projections; they're actual people. It's making humans, it's making characters, it's making people with souls.
They very quickly introduce this existential quandary by seeing them disappear like that. Suddenly, it casts the nature of every character inside that simulation into question. McNary sees that happen to them, and then that kind of turns his world upside down.
When you're gone, will this world still exist? Will my wife and kids still be waiting for me at home? I honestly don't know.
It passes the Turing test. If you didn't know you were in a holodeck, and you just started talking to one of these NPCs, you wouldn't be able to tell that they're not a real person. That's enough to be considered sentience. Therefore, we are just creating and killing sentient things for our amusement.
It's very dark.
There's one thing I just realized that doesn't make sense about this scene. So Wesley and Geordi were right outside the holodeck trying to fix it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when the doors open, shouldn't they be looking in and going, "Oh, hey, Captain"?
Yep.
They should be. But then they were spooked by this massive bald man and his best friend, and they ran off probably.
Yeah.
Why does that happen?
And then you have them rushing to the bridge. Everybody's dressed in their old-timey gangster clothes. The captain does the equivalent of somebody who goes to a Mexican restaurant. And they order Mexican food, and they're oh my god,
they strain to feign a native accent, but fail miserably.
Yeah, let me get a chimichanga and some nudo and a burrito.
Klaxon ris blash blanarnik karnik trasula trasula.
He does the equivalent of that to these lizard people, and they're like, "Oh, we're very honored." Okay, well, we could speak in English now.
Yeah, and everyone applauds. They're like, "Yay, you did it!" Yeah.
Wesley goes to see old Data, and Data's practicing his sneezing. And I don't get this. Like, I get he's trying to be more human, kind of, but if he has all the knowledge of the world, and he can do a lot of things, and he can pretend to be a gangster perfectly, but he can't pretend to be a human being.
That's a fundamental problem I have with Data in general, and I brought it up before.
Yeah.
Well, this episode also tries to lampshade it a bit. Like Tasha at the beginning asked, you have the knowledge of every settler on this colony? And he's like, technically, no. It's like a fragmented version of all of their memories. So like, he's basically cobbled all of that together into one working memory, I guess. I don't know necessarily why that leaves open such huge gaps.
They go to this weird glass room, and it's filled with smoke. Or dry ice smoke.
It just opens on its own, and no one's like, "Oh that opened. Let's back the up."
I noticed that in the show, they're never worried about like germs or chemical warfare.
Oh, it's Class M planet. Let's just not go with any helmets on. Let's just go. Like they're always just wide open to the elements. They don't care.
They should explain this, and I hope they do, but they probably don't. Like, oh, we've installed something in people's nostrils that like purifies them of like germs.
No, there's absolutely nothing. No.
Nothing. Okay.
They bother to go out of their way to explain like the universal translators and stuff like that, but when it comes to like environmental issues, they're just like, it's fine.
These people are like people on other planets. It's just the germs would kill you alone. Like
they never stop. Yeah, and they're always moving. So spreading. It's a fun fact about Lore. Lore was originally supposed to be a lady.
Oh.
And Lore was originally supposed to be Data's love interest. And it was actually Brent Spiner's suggestion, probably because he was desperate to act as something else other than Data.
Of course.
That he be an evil twin. Which is probably the funner idea. But it might have been also interesting to see Data with like another android love interest. I guess technically a gynoid, right? Is that the correct term?
He's definitely got a gynoid. Lieutenant Yara could attest to that.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the captain realizes like, oh, this ass Wesley was fucking right, dude. I should listen to him, I guess.
Yeah.
And he tells him this thing. He tells him this. Hey, can you return back to the bridge? And he says, yes, sir. And he says, okay, go back to the bridge and tell him everything's fine now. And my thinking is like, the bridge just saw you kick out Wesley. And Wesley notoriously is known for starting revolutions, genocide, all these horrible things. And he's just going to show up to the bridge and go, "Hey, Captain says everything's fine." Remember when he tried to take over the goddamn bridge?
Yeah, that would have been really suspicious if he actually came back and did that.
Yeah, he would just get onto the bridge and be like, "Look at me. I'm the captain now."
Yeah. Captain and Worf are getting out of the elevator, and Wesley hits the captain on the shoulder with an ice ball.
And it's not just any snowball; it's a smelly snowball.
Yeah, it's a snowball that gets everyone in the ship.
Yeah.
Okay, why would the holodeck be able to ever give anyone sickness?
Yep.
And not only that, like a sickness that isn't like already in the database.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, the Danubian Alps are apparently well known enough to go on a skiing lesson.
Yep.
If they're well known enough, shouldn't we know what this virus is? And thus, shouldn't we have a cure already? And if we don't have a cure, why the would we take a bunch of children on a skiing lesson on a holographic version of this?
Her argument is that it's too sophisticated for any man to figure out.
Right.
And Data says, "I'm an android, mistress, and though atomically I'm a male, I'm an android." And she looks at his crotch.
Yeah.
She looks up and down, and she says, "An amusing notion."
She's probably like, he must get very hard, right?
Yeah.
Again, unclear why are we allowing to make contact and thus violating Prime Directive.
We have seen in previous episodes how they totally do this.
There's other episodes where they go so out of their way to make sure they don't even know they're there.
Yeah, but are they hot?
Yeah, dude. Come on, bro. So
if we can fuck them, we'll make ourselves known. Otherwise,
yeah. And then he goes to see what Data and Geordi are doing, and this is a really fucking scene because like Data's trying to like paint, like make a painting.
Yeah, I have the line specifically brought up because I was like, "What the man? Why would you say that?"
Project may turn out to be of interest to scholars in the future. Really? Well, of course. Think about it. A blind man teaching an android how to paint. That's got to be worth a couple of pages in somebody's book.
I know, he says that with like the biggest eating grin on his face.
And then the reaction shot, actually you cut back to Geordi, and Geordi's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, they are acting offended.
Yeah.
Why would you make light of the fact that I'm blind? That's
I
really
know. And then you got these two goddamn weird bald aliens, and they're like, and that's how they talk. And old Riker's like, "These gentlemen are binars," and he's like, "Well, they're not gentlemen or ladies for that fact. They're just, they'll whoever they want to fuck." You know?
Are these gentlemen the binars?
They're not gentlemen or ladies, Commander. They're a unified pair.
Ironically, the binars are non-binary.
Yeah.
So apparently this episode was originally meant to be shot before the big goodbye. So remember how when we were doing the big goodbye episode, you were like, why would a scan affect just a holodeck? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, apparently it's because this episode was supposed to happen before, and the binars fucking with the holodeck caused a coincidental fuck up later for the big goodbye.
That makes sense.
That's why the big goodbye also started off with the premise of we just upgraded the holodeck. Well, who upgraded it?
Yeah.
It was supposed to have been the binars.
You've been looking forward to the upgrade of the holodeck.
Does that mean that you could just conveniently slot this episode before the big goodbye?
No, because in this episode, they specifically say we have fixed the error created by the probe.
The deviation caused by a previous probe has been corrected.
I'm not sure why they switched the recording order. It might have just been technical, like, oh, we needed that Starbase set, but maybe it wasn't available. So
that's too bad.
They call this admiral who's old as shit, and has a horrible makeup job. Like,
yeah, it's so bad
in a way that's completely like nobody ages to the way that looks.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Even if he has Iverson's disease, whatever the that is, like
Allen Iverson's disease.
Yeah, I know.
He can't stop bawling. He can't stop hooping.
His whole old man like mannerisms are so over the top where he's like, I'm old.
I feel like he just was like, what did Yoda do? I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Smack my lips a lot and go.
Yeah.
I am a little impressed that this show being made in the 80s managed to avoid the trope of actually getting like a teenager and then eventually a baby, completely reverse aging him until becomes like a zygote or something.
Well, that was the original plot of the episode. He wasn't. He was originally supposed to become stuck as a little teenager, like a 13-year-old, I think.
They should have done that way.
I think it would have been more fun.
They still send them on the away mission as a 13-year-old.
The scars on old soldiers' bodies, the graveyards of our young dead, the wasted cities that we are still rebuilding, and all of it caused by him.
One really fun thing about this scene when they're having the shootout, I think that set or part of that set is actually from Spaceballs.
Oh, really?
They actually grabbed it and we're like, it, it's close enough. A fun little factoid. You know that wheelchair that never moves because it's too big to move around? Mm-hmm. It was $10,000.
Jesus. No wonder they reused it for X-Men.
It was one of the huge failures of the show. Where Rob Bowman was like, they spent $10,000 on this motherfucking chair, and it was so stupid we couldn't even move around with it. So we ended up just having to put it in a single spot per setup and just work around that.
There's people who like retire with grace, and then there's people who don't, and that's what this episode reminded me of. Like, you're so stubborn that you make a fool of yourself and you tarnish any sort of memory they have of you.
Interestingly enough, this episode was actually supposed to have been written entirely from the perspective of the Admiral.
Really?
So that's why there's so many scenes where it's just the Admiral talking with his wife and stuff. But it was originally supposed to be entirely him. I think that would have played into your idea of it being that kind of parallel with, f***ing up your career, maybe make it more direct and personal, because you probably could have had a better idea of how he had come to become a respected Admiral. And now, because he couldn't leave the past alone, he fucked it all up, basically.
I just want to say this real quick. This is like a sequel to Mars Needs Moms, but it's Aldea Needs Kids.
This is really sketchy. Raul tells the kids, hey, you guys have all been chosen because you guys are special. And now that I'm watching it, now that I'm like reviewing it, I'm thinking, yeah, they're all white. You took the white kids. You
But, one of the kids they also showed was the girl that plays music. Mm-hmm. But like, she has the holophoner, and then she plays a sad song, and the guy teaching her music says, that was beautiful. Now play something happy. And she goes, but I don't feel happy.
And then the old guy is like, oh, shit.
He's like, maybe are we the baddies?
This is the second episode in a row where we've seen these old people just being freaking stubborn and just fucking shit up because they're just too old and too set in their ways to do anything about it.
That's literally it. Both of these are stupid boomer episodes. Boomers just won't listen. Listen, old man.
How many times do you have to teach this lesson, old man?
If Beverly Crusher basically yells at him, listen, you old man.
Please listen. You are all suffering from radiation poisoning. Sterility is only the latest symptom. If the children remain, they will be affected as well.
That's impossible. Our scientists would have known.
How could they? Your scientists have forgotten how everything works.
No. All lies.
So they talk to this old man who, again, looks like the old man from Up.
I know. There's a lot of Ed Asners in this show.
So is the casting director like, all we have for older men are Ed Asner lookalikes? You want them? And they're like, I guess so.
No, this is a casting director that desperately wanted Ed Asner and never got it.
The thing is, the moment they were like, well, it's not carbon, how could it be life? And then Data should be like, well.
Well, what is Data made of?
He's made of plastic. He's not made of carbon. That's, you open him up, you see computer circuits.
Yeah, and farts.
I guess so.
But then they argue he's a autonomous person doing his own. So it's like
maybe Data was built with a loophole embedded in him. Like there's just an inanimate carbon rod somewhere. It's like he's a carbon-based life form. Look at the rod.
He's got it in there. It's in there somewhere. It's so stupid. This is the scene where Beverly Crusher is apparently doing her science work, and all she does is walk back and forth around the set and just yell at the computer.
Analyze the pattern of the flashes.
not repetitive or sequential. Pattern not recognized.
What is the source of the flashes?
Unable to specify. Theoretically not possible from this substance.
Disregard incongruity and theorize as to source.
Life.
It's so bad. Like, the computer comes up with her own conclusion for her own brain.
This is about as bad as congratulations, Mr. Stark. You've created a new element.
Yeah. At least in that, you could see Stark doing the work himself.
Okay, yeah. Actually, yeah, this is worse because she just says, like, actually, stop being a computer and just tell me what's happening.
Think like me, but I don't want to think, though.
So basically, it wants to start a war. It thinks to these humans, so this episode does give us the best line.
Oh, yeah, I have pulled that, too.
Ugly, giants, bags of mostly water.
Bags of mostly water. An accurate description of humans, sir.
This episode's not great, but so far, that's the best line in the series so far.
Yes.
The way these series of tests lead into enrolling in Starfleet Academy is so f***ing weird.
Isn't it almost like Arrested Development? And that's why you don't teach lessons.
Just the general structure of this is kind of crazy. It's like you test to test to test. And then once you get your finalists, they only select one, even though they keep telling every single finalist, any one of you would be a great cadet.
And also, it's like the things they're testing them on, it's like genius level science stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you see some people who are officers and you're like, he wouldn't know that.
Exactly.
Wesley barely knew that. Why would you know that?
Yeah.
And Wesley's supposed to be a genius.
Jesus.
Like, fucking Worf is an officer from Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Worf isn't gonna be like, oh yes, I know exactly how to do this positronic bullshit.
They gave him the Donkey Kong test. He had to like break barrels.
Oh man, you don't know how right you are. You don't know how accurate you are.
So all these people that are taking the test, they all are in the entertainment industry. So Oleana, she is a visual effects supervisor. So she works on Team America, Pleasantville.
Oh, like in modern times, she went to work on other things. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, she left acting and she went on to work as a visual effects artist. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were just profiling the characters and casting them as
No.
It'd be great if they all went on to work in like the Star Trek universe's entertainment industry.
No. And then the Vulcan lady is the voice of Poison Ivy in the Batman games.
Oh, okay. He interviews Riker, right?
Yeah.
In the ready room?
Yeah.
And if I'm correct, this is the first time we see the Riker maneuver.
Yes.
Jonathan Frakes, his back is hurt.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for him to stand perfectly straight and to also sit down normally.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he sits down, he has to like basically mount a chair like it's a horse.
Yeah.
So
like from behind, like a saddle.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny that the first time he does it, he's furious at this investigator guy. So it looks like a power move.
Yeah, it does. So he starts questioning people. It kind of goes back to different things that they've experienced, different like missions, different stuff.
The Ferengi incident aboard his old starship, the Stargazer. Captain Picard had no control over this vessel. He handed it over to Kaczynski, who took the entire crew to the edge of the universe. Just how did this contaminant get aboard the ship?
The man who is responsible for the death of your husband.
You violated the Prime Directive of the Edo. You deliberately interfered with their laws.
And in fact, that's something that you, Ricardo, I think in a previous episode actually mentioned. Like, why the hell isn't Starfleet coming down on this vessel for all the bullshit they've already gone through? And it's like, this is it.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. They're finally trying to figure out why the Enterprise is so fucked up.
Like, in a way, this almost feels like a season finale, like a recap of all their adventures thus far.
Yeah.
And it's like, let me tell you the ways you fucked up. Wesley goes into the room and Senior Chang's like, hey, your test is about to start. Good luck. And he bolts out of there. And Wesley's left there for like a good minute and no one's there. And then he hears a huge crash. And he comes out of the room and there's nobody there in the hallways. It's empty. And he follows the yells and the noises.
Yeah.
And it leads him to this room.
Did you notice, by the way, as he's running through the corridors, like they couldn't get super long corridors like it's supposed to be in a school. So they just did like matte paintings.
Yeah.
But they're clearly just paintings.
I know. And the Admiral's like, hey, I want to promote you to Admiral and I want you to start teaching, like go back to Starfleet Academy and start commanding that.
I want you to lead a school for gifted children.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
But first, we need to break your legs.
We're gonna deflect a bullet with magnetism into your spine. Because Star Trek aliens are basically mutants, right? Like Klingons are super strong. Like Vulcans can mind meld. You know, like they're basically mutants.
My mind. Anyway,
there's talk about separating the saucer, and we've seen this in episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Ferengi? It's a little out of their territory.
Shall we separate the saucer?
Let's get a little more information first.
Just mentioning the detachment of the saucer here just brought up all these questions in my mind. It's like, well, what threat level necessitates the separation of the saucer? Because you did it once ever. You've gotten into several scuffles since then, but you never even mentioned detaching it. Like, when do you care about the people on your ship? It's like, get the saucer back into incorporated space because they don't have life insurance here.
Basically.
It's like that makes you wonder, like, what civilians are just like, shit, let's do that. Let's go on this Enterprise.
Yeah, let's just go on this ship. The civilians on board don't ever seem to reap the benefits of visiting all these different worlds. It's not like they get off and check out the place. Or
sometimes they get off, if you know what I mean.
But the crew has to go first to make sure it's okay. But then it's never okay.
Never. This episode should have been called Luke Picard Discovers Predator Vision.
That's so true. He gets so fascinated and almost derails the entire episode.
Even Riker has to be like,
Sir, I hate to break this up, but
given how close they had cut it, if Picard had kept around with this more,
they would have just died while he was talking to them. He's like, Geordi, look to your right. Wave your hand in front of your face. Boom, and the thing explodes. I hope from now on that's anytime they go away, they get a signal from Geordi.
Nope.
They never talk about it again.
Yep. That's what's so dumb about it.
God damn it, dude.
Do you have any idea how many music video effects we have to put onto that screen?
Worf goes back to his station and he turns back and he tells the captain, "Hey, I was only being polite. Chill out, dude."
And Picard looks so uncomfortable.
I know. Yeah.
Picard's like, sure. I feel like now Picard's afraid of Worf.
Yeah. He's like, no, we found out he's got a spiky dick. And then he has a crazy chant.
Picard's acting like he only knew this person of color from work. And then he went and met their friends and how he acts with them.
Oh, no.
And he's like, no. Shoot. He's not the person I thought he was.
There is, in that earlier conversation with Data, he does literally go, he seemed like a different person.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I've never seen him code switch before, Data.
Oh, God.
This episode, we quickly realize, is the Incredibles episode.
Yes.
The Syndrome Island.
That's literally what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
It even has similar vegetation.
Yeah, and you have the robots that are learning.
The 607 represents the state of the art in dynamic, adaptive design. It learns from each encounter and improves itself.
I don't want to blame Brad Bird for stealing this episode, but whatever, dude. That's for the courts to decide.
Hey, Tom, you push in on Cartoon Boy, motherfucker. Do what he says. It's Tom Cruise.
So then this dude from engineering just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, this motherfucker.
This motherfucker.
He literally comes out of nowhere and just starts yelling at Geordi.
Yeah. You relinquish the power to me because I'm a white dude.
That's literally what happened to Argyle. Argyle was such a nice, amenable fellow who seemed to just want to do his job.
I think that's exactly why he wasn't chosen for this role. He's too nice.
I don't know what Logan's deal is. Is he just like a contrarian? Because when he first showed up, he basically said,
to get out of here now.
You got to run away. And then when he shows up again, he goes, how could you run away?
How could you leave behind those people?
What is his deal?
It's a Republican congressman.
The away team is about to get killed because they realize the thing has learned so much that it's going to kill them basically in the next round. But the way they get saved is that when this digital hologram of the salesman comes on, they're asking questions and they're trying to figure it out and they can't get it nowhere. But the way they beat it is by telling it, sold. We're going to buy this weapon. Shut off this. So basically, the whole planet was on demo mode.
And they
finally said, we'll take it. And they shut down. So
the whole planet was WinRAR, and you finally gave in and bought the version.
They finally stopped clicking remind me later.
There's a really infamous we're doing a PSA moment here with Wesley.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What I can't understand is why anyone would voluntarily become dependent on a chemical.
Drugs can make you feel good.
I guess I just don't understand.
Wesley, I hope you never do.
When I was watching that scene, this is all I could think about.
Get out of here, Dewey.
What are y'all doing in here?
We're smoking reefer.
Come on, Dewey. Join the party.
No, Dewey, you don't want this. Get out of here.
I just wanted somebody to tell, run down that speech with Wesley.
What if Worf came out from the other side of Tasha and was like, actually, Klingons love drugs.
Yeah. We love this herb that grows from the ground. It's called weed.
Before we get to the scene, I was going to talk about, for some reason, everyone has like thunder powers, like electric power.
Yeah.
Why do they like that?
It's like inconsequential to the plot.
It wasn't even. It was like Jubilee from the X-Men's power. Basically useless.
But the funny part is, it makes for a scene that completely breaks the tone. Because when the Ornarian guy grabs Riker is stuck in that pose.
Yeah,
his face. He's got this frozen O face where
it's good.
He constantly can't deal with it. And then when he finally gets let go, he goes, "Oh, my insides are still shaking."
Yeah, so maybe they're not electrical powers. Maybe they're like the Shocker.
They're just vibrators. They're like really like.
Oh my god!
Basically, just real quick, can we talk about that guy on the home planet who like broadcasts up to them? It's like, "Hey, where's my guys?" And then they like, "Here are your guys." It's like, "Hey, you got the stuff? We're trying to get you stuff. I don't want to hear about it."
That's their leader. That reminds me of the Dave Chappelle, like, the president is addicted to crack joke.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "Come on, baby, sign the treaty. I'll suck your dick."
Yeah, that's all this was missing.
Lieutenant Yar is like, "Hey, there's going to be a martial arts competition." And Worf's like, "Hey, are you prepared?
Cobra Kai.
Prepared for the Cobra Kai, for the All Valley karate tournament?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think I'm ready, but I could use some sparring at the holodeck." And this battle banter is turning both of them on.
Yeah.
They're like a sparring session away from just boning, dude.
The martial arts competition is in 3 days. Are you prepared?
I will be if you'll meet me on the holodeck later. I need your help with the Mishiyama wrist lock and break.
You are favored in the ship's pool.
You bet on me?
A sure thing.
Yeah, they're about to fight.
Just like Ninja 3. When she pours that tomato juice all over herself.
Oh, no.
This guy also reminds me of Melvar from Futurama.
Oh, yeah. Melvar is probably an amalgamation of a lot of these types of characters.
And so, like, basically, Deanna Troi is like, "Hey, if you insult his mom and you insult him, it's just like the It Clown. If you insult it, it's going to cower. And
you have to do your mama jokes.
Relentlessly. Over and over again until he can't even remember where his mom begins and then mom ends."
Oh, that's a good one. Use that. Like, I was getting to that.
Well, she.
So he gets sucked in, right? And none of them are holding phasers. But then, like, they run right to, like, what I would call the shoreline of Venom. And then a phaser, is it a taser or phase, whatever it's called, it falls in the goo, and I think it fell off the holster of somebody and it landed in the goo, but they just left a shot in there. They're like, it fell in.
We can't do that effect again.
Yeah,
it fell off. Okay, I just rewatched it. It fell off of Geordi's holster. As they ran up to. Yeah. That's actually really funny. I never noticed it being that much of a blunder because they're like, we can't do that again.
Yeah, we can't afford it.
We can't get Riker, Jonathan Frakes all clean again. Do that shot.
Well, you could tell it was a double because it's a wig. You could tell. It's
yeah.
And they're like, you know how much these wigs are? We can only afford one. And then it opens up and boom, he's in Paris. And then there's this dude playing this weird instrument that looks like a bunch of like or.
And he's so smug, like just like stroking all the tubes.
I hate it. I hate all the space props in this future. It's like, okay, for some reason in this future, they're playing with like these stupid pipes. All the menus are clear, so they're difficult to look at.
It's like future.
The matte painting of future Paris looks like dystopian future Paris.
Yeah.
The fact is there's a tube running under the Eiffel Tower makes it look like they don't care about their historical historical monuments.
Yeah.
And they're just like,
it's still there.
They're like, we need to get this monorail through here. And they're like, just make it run under the... Why don't we put it under the ground? No. Make it run through the Eiffel Tower.
Just right through the base.
Yeah, right through the base. So he goes to the holodeck. And the waiter's like, do you want anything to eat? Any cheeses? Any wine? What can we get you? And he's like, nah, I'm not very hungry. And then the waiter goes, perhaps something not in the menu? And I'm like, are you talking about horrors, dude?
Whores or cocaine?
Yeah, what are you talking about, dude?
We're back in another horror movie.
No, dude. I'm like, God damn it, dude. It's like the holodeck knows. Like, he's like, if they're not here for food
here for
drinks, they're here for whores, dude.
Naturally programmed to lean toward whores.
It's so sick of it. The holodeck is like, thousands of you have come through. Have gone.
Literally, yeah. So then the time gets fixed, and then the doctor magically is fine because the time is what was wrong with him.
Okay, this is the part that infuriated me. Your experiment nearly destroyed the entire universe. All of time was almost destroyed.
Yeah.
Why is Picard looks at him and goes, oh, sure, yeah, we'll send you back. No!
Yeah.
Don't send him back.
They should have just executed him.
For crimes against the universe.
But I get to keep your lady friend.
Like, the way the theme of the show should work. Here's what should happen. She grew distant from him because he got buried in his work.
Yeah.
Now that the problem is solved, he realizes the error of his ways, decides to go, hey, I'm going to work a lot less and I'm going to spend more time with you, right? And then Picard goes, oh, okay, so now their relationship is fixed. That sort of connection can't happen anymore. That's how it should resolve to me. Not like the doctor immediately goes, let's go right back into my time work.
Yeah.
It says prior to their call, it says, there will be no computer record of this transmission. I'm like, how the hell is there not a computer record of a transmission?
They're using Telegram, man. It's encrypted.
Yeah. I know how to do it. What they do is they get the hard drives with all the records. And they play the and then just wipes it clean.
That's actually the sound of a sonic shower.
Yeah.
Every sonic shower is this and that's also a perfect length of a shower that you need, you know?
Yes.
It's the military length of a shower.
You gotta do the jitterbug so it gets all the nooks and crannies. And then Riker's like, no, he's gonna like back away, and Anthony Quinn's like, no, I've been taking my vitamins.
I know. Why does it become an action movie line?
And there's so many bad shots of like stunt doubles punching each other.
It's great.
It's like the decrepit old man versus the man with a huge back injury that keeps him from moving at all.
So Geordi and Worf get there, like, so he's about to leave, and then Geordi's like, no, I think you should wait, dude. Just chill out. And he just throws Geordi through the door.
Yeah. Through metal doors.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then Worf is like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting worked up. There's a slow zoom in as he stands up.
This is his time to shine, dude. And I thought, man, this old man's gonna get a whooping, dude, because Worf does not around, dude. And he gets punked, dude. He just gets
one karate chop to the neck and Worf is down.
Yeah.
They showed Merrick. Is that his name? Merrick?
Remick.
They showed him no mercy.
No.
Like none at all.
Yeah.
Nope.
Not even a chance to be like, maybe we can save him. Maybe he's still in there.
And then apparently Beverly was wrong, because if you set your phasers to kill, it just blows her face off, dude.
Yeah. For one, they have no hesitation.
No.
They just like blow his brains out.
Yeah, this is the Picard that should be driving the Enterprise that's shooting photon
biophasers in all directions. We had no choice but to ice the motherfuckers.
You should just cut straight to that murder, like right after showing Deanna Troi telling that cluster, we respect all life.
Yeah.
We think you're beautiful.
Yeah.
You motherfuckers are gonna kill all my lilies!
And then Beverly was like, hey, so what do you want us to do with these survivors? Picard's like, what?
Yeah.
What survivors? Like these people that we dug up from the satellite with oxygen. And Picard's like, what the what did you guys do while he's gone, dude? You guys resurrected the dead?
I leave the ship for 2 seconds. You got like zombie people from the dead.
It's just that the timing was so...
I could not leave them there, Captain. The condition of their vehicle was deteriorating.
But
Data, they were already dead. I mean, what more could have happened to them?
Like, he is so annoyed that Data saved some people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They take the people who were snapped back into life and they're like, hey, we're going to transfer over you to the USS Charleston. And so you have George Jones, a country singer from Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, one good thing is since everybody's forgotten everything I ever did, it'll all be brand spanking new. I'll be a bigger hit than I ever was. What say, son? You'd make a hell of a side man.
That offer does present a certain fascination.
I would love like an episode
where Data every so often has to leave the Enterprise to go on tour.
Oh my God, like, Captain, I've been invited to go on tour.
Like a rhinestone cowboy. I feel like I used to be hardcore into like, well, I could live in a world like Star Wars, you know? Like you got like, you're basically like, it's a Western samurai world, basically. But like in Star Trek, you got planets, you got the best weed in the world, you got a replicator that if you tweak it correctly, it probably give you some really good tacos, dude.
You could probably get at least like a good like Taco Bell or Chipotle consistently.
That's fine, dude. I'll take some Taco Bell, dude.
Yeah, I'll take some Taco Bell.
Yeah. You think Taco Bell in the future still gives you the shits?
Well, no. You have the two options. It's the modern version or the classic version, and the classic version will give you the shits for the authentic feel.